Welcome back to Career Talk. I'm Cole Sperry, Managing Editor over here at Optum Careers. Today we're going to talk about what is a narcissistic resume and do you have one? A narcissistic resume is a term used to describe a document that's filled with grandiose language, words that sound meaningful but mean nothing, and has a focus on self-importance over the employer's problems. It's a resume that's meant to make you appear as the best, most qualified, and the most experienced person for the job, but in reality, a narcissistic resume is a turnoff for potential employers, and it's going to damage your chances of getting an interview. So today we're going to talk about 4 characteristics of narcissistic resumes and what you can do to avoid them or fix yours. The first one, the resume is all about the candidate. This may seem strange at first, but a resume shouldn't be centered around ourselves, the job seeker. After all, this is the textbook definition of a narcissist. In fact, most resumes are centered around the person behind the resume, despite very few of the individuals actually being narcissists. Most of us are not, but our resumes can appear to be. This is one of the biggest problems I see job seekers face with their resume when I do resume reviews of any kind. Imagine going on a date with someone, and for the first 15 minutes, they only talk about themselves. For many, you don't have to imagine. We've been there at one time or another. How did it feel? Awkward? You're sitting there listening to the other person ramble on about how important they are. But what they don't realize is that you're sitting there thinking about how bored and self-absorbed that person is. It's a terrible experience, and sadly, many resumes read exactly like this. Many professionals think they have to tell their entire story. They have to explain their entire career path, and so they keep talking about themselves. They keep writing about themselves because they think that's how you impress a hiring manager, a recruiter. This is not how you hook an employer. This is not how you get called for an interview. You hook them by starting with their problems. If your resume is all about you, you may have a narcissistic resume and you may be losing job opportunities because of it. To fix this, start with the employer's problems and write a resume centered around how you solve a very specific set of problems. The next characteristic is if your resume is full of adjectives. Most resumes contain a lot of adjectives, and in one study that reviewed 200 resumes, the average resume had over 50 adjectives. Adjectives are easy to write. They require no storytelling, no proof, and quite frankly, very little thought. The overuse of adjectives can come across as narcissistic in a resume. We've seen it time and time again. Many professionals use words like innovative, creative, excellent communicator, proven experience. But where is the proven experience? Where is the innovation in that resume? Where's the communication in that resume? It comes across as narcissistic because the resume doesn't do anything to back up any of those claims. They're empty claims. In fact, many times the resume screams the opposite of the adjective that's there. Think about it. You write that you are an excellent communicator, but your resume is a laundry list of bullet points with no organization and no story for the employer to follow along. If this is your resume, try dropping the adjectives and think of ways you can show the reader that you possess these skills. Think of stories where you've used these skills, you've used this adjective, and then concisely, briefly, and clearly write about it. The third characteristic, the resume looks more like notes for an award speech. It's similar to the first one, and this often happens when we overdo accomplishments on our resume, or we have the wrong accomplishments in our resume. Many of us have read a resume where it's accomplishment after accomplishment, bullet of awesomeness followed by bullet of awesomeness. But this often has the opposite reaction and looks self-centered, out of touch, and unorganized. Accomplishments are an important part of a resume because they help fulfill one of the 3 criteria of a successful resume, which is they substantiate our claims. But with the wrong accomplishments, we look like we don't understand the role and we don't understand the employer's problems. With too many, we simply look self-absorbed. If your resume reads more like notes for an award speech that you're about to give than a proposal on how you solve a specific set of problems with a specific set of qualifications for a well-defined audience, you may have a narcissistic resume. And the last characteristic, the resume is verbose. Never sacrifice clarity for sounding smart or looking good. Verbose, lengthy resumes filled with insider language and smart words do not provide clarity. Rather, they appear narcissistic. Writing this way also runs the risk of forcing the hiring manager or recruiter to burn too many brain calories, and when that happens, they often shut down and move on. It's best to keep things simple, factual, and concise. A good rule of thumb is to keep your blocks of text no more than 3 lines, and keep your bullet points under 2 lines of text. If you're writing more than this, chances are your resume is getting too verbose. So in summary, narcissistic resumes are all about the reader instead of the employer and their problems. Narcissistic resumes are full of adjectives. They have too many accomplishments or the wrong accomplishments. And 4, they're verbose and sacrifice clarity for sounding smart. If you found this helpful or insightful, like it, share it with a friend, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to check out OptumCareers.com for more job search, interview, and money advice. I'll see you next time.